Welcome to The Impossible, where we empower others to face the impossible, inspire them to be impossible, and motivate them to do the impossible. I'm Matt, your host, and back this week with my brother, Austin Douglas. How you doing today, sir?
Fantastic. Hello, everyone.
Okay. Guys, we've got a great episode for you today, and I'm really excited to dive into the story of this individual because she exemplifies so many of the aspects we talk about with impossible performance, from that global culture of strength to the building of your highest potential, to being able to go out and establish culture within a community. She has done all of these and continues to do these every day and so much more. So please welcome to the show, Miss Liz Strong.
Hello.
Yeah, thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. This is such an honor and a blessing to be here with you guys today.
Oh no, it's cool, and I'm excited that we just got to. Even though I've known about you, I've known about your business for a long time. Even Clayton was telling me, gosh, it's been probably a couple years ago now. He was telling me about you and that you were coming back to the area and things like that, and building the gym you've got now. And I was just like, this is awesome. But I'm glad we finally got to connect at the MOV Fit Expo a couple weeks ago, and we're able to make this happen pretty quick. So I appreciate you coming out.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, it was a pleasure meeting you at the expo and loved hearing your story.
That was a great event.
It really was.
It's really hard to put an event on. I'm sure. Well, you know, obviously now.
Yeah.
It's really hard to put an event like that on, and especially to have it to succeed to that capacity. Its first year out the gate. Yeah. Like it felt, because we weren't involved really on the planning side at all. We just came out as kind of a vendor and to speak, which we've loved and appreciated that opportunity. But from our perspective, we're like, man, this is one of the cleanest running events we've ever been to.
Yeah.
Like it was really cool to see and very much needed in the community. So
Thank
you
you
were part of helping plan that, correct?
I was,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah. So what did that whole process look like?
Yeah, it was. I mean, we started probably 6 months prior to the date, and just kind of, it was Clayton, Amanda O'Brien, and myself, and we just kind of come together and met every month and kind of started from the top. And Amanda, her background, she's helped with some bridal expos and that kind of thing, which helped tremendously in kind of organizing the event. We kind of just all picked a part of it and just went after it. Amanda was more on the back side of it with the emails, the finances, and that side of it. And Clayton kind of took his side with, getting all of, his contacts and the powerlifting side of it, and just kind of bringing different avenues of it together. And then I just took over kind of the advertising side of it, the social media side of it, and did that. So we all had our little part, and it all just kind of came together really nicely. So
yeah, we had a blast, and I'm so excited to see it hopefully continue and keep growing in the future, because I think that stuff is so needed, especially in this community right now. Yeah. And we'll dive into it more later. But I hear a lot of people talk about this idea that, there's not a lot of opportunity in this community. There's not really anything here for people. You need to get out. You need to escape. And certainly if somebody finds that calling and that's what fulfills them, that's great. But I feel like we somewhat limited ourselves in just marrying ourselves to that narrative. So it's cool to see you be able to, grow up here and then go off and succeed in the areas you were succeeding, and then to be able to come back and bring that experience and bring that opportunity to the community. So where did that really start for you, just getting into the world of training and athletics and lifting and the whole culture?
The whole culture, I mean, I kind of grew up. My father was huge into lifting, powerlifting. He had his own weight room at the house, and I just remember just kind of standing at the doorway of the weight room, just watching him lifting heavy and sweating and grunting and listening to his loud music. And I was like, that's kind of interesting. And every day, he's doing it day in, day out. It felt like he never missed a day of it. He'd come home from work. That was his go-to. And I just always thought it was very intriguing.
Yeah. And what you're from this area, correct?
I am. I grew up in Belpre.
In Belpre. Okay. So you're from this town. Exactly. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. So where'd your dad work at?
So he was a deputy for Washington County.
Okay. Yeah.
So he did that for, 36 years.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then growing up, were you heavily involved in athletics, or when did you really start training yourself and really diving into that side of it?
Yeah, so I grew up as a cheerleader, 3rd through 12th grade, every single year. I did
Which
miss
is a
a
highly
year.
athletic sport.
It is.
Like people
It
don't,
is.
people
Thank
don't
you.
appreciate that, but
I
it
know.
is.
I
Yeah.
know. A lot of people have their, opinions about it, but it is. You have to. I mean, there's a lot to it, other than just, shaking some pom poms and smiling. There's definitely a lot of athleticism to it. So that's kind of where it started. I always was very cautious about my body and my image and making sure that I was able to do the things that needed to be done as a cheerleader, the tumbling and the stunting and all of that. So it was important to take care of my body from an early age.
Yeah. Did you feel that as because we've had some female athletes on here talk about, all the sides of female fitness, and they've said, I've heard some people say they feel like a lot of societal pressure to fit like a certain mold.
Yeah.
Did you experience that, or was it more like a really motivating force of like, hey, I want to perform in this capacity, and so I'm going to work to make sure that I'm optimized as highly as possible for it?
Yeah, definitely motivating. I mean, I didn't feel, pressured into it at all, but just in my mind, like I wanted to be able to do it, and that taking care of myself and being athletic was just part of it. And it's what I wanted to do.
Yeah. Did you do the competitive cheer, or was it more just like the high school?
It was more just high school.
Yeah.
I didn't take it any further than that. So, but it was fun and I enjoyed it, and I just wanted to be the best I could there.
And I assume that gave you like a lot of foundational lessons of discipline and consistency.
Yes.
It's like when we talked to Diamond, that was her biggest piece was softball in high school, taught her that rigorous discipline that it takes to compete in the sport of bodybuilding in the first place.
Yeah. I think that it did teach me so much about the discipline and showing up every day and doing the workouts that we needed to for cheer and all the things that went with it, and for sure.
Yeah. So when did you then transition into the bodybuilding side of everything?
So transitioned into bodybuilding. So in 2020,
Okay.
I ended up moving to Columbus.
Okay.
So my husband's job kind of took us there, and moved the kids there, got our own place. And I've always been, now that I was in Columbus, I was closer to the Arnold, and, being just around that atmosphere was just, it was amazing. It was motivating, and it made me, watching the Arnold Classic and the shows. I'm like, I just remember watching one of the shows, watching the bikini division. I'm like, I want to do that one day.
Yeah.
That's amazing. These girls are amazing. And so once I moved there, we were at a restaurant one day, and server was a big dude. I was like, he works out.
Yeah.
He works
I'm gonna
out.
ask him what's up.
So I conversated with him. I asked him, I was like, so this is what I'm looking to do. I want to get into bodybuilding, bikini division. Who around here would you recommend as a coach? And I mean, zero hesitation. He told me, Mike Davies is your go-to. He's been doing this for years. He's gotten pros. He's your go-to. So I did a little research on my end, and then I reached out to him, and we started training. I started training really that last week of 2020.
Okay.
And then I started meeting with him slowly, gradually. I started one day a week, then 2, and then it led up to I was meeting with him 5 days a week.
Oh wow. So this is in person.
Group training sessions. Strength. Yeah. Lots of strength.
You said this was 2020, which was a tough year to get into fitness.
I know. It was it was really November. Well, when the gyms started opening back up. So the end of November is when I kind of took the lead, and then trained with him December and thereafter.
And you kind of knew from the beginning, I want to step on stage. This wasn't you got into it and then somewhere along the way you found more, you knew from the beginning.
Yeah, that was my goal.
And how long did it take you to go from brand new, fresh getting into the gym to eventually stepping on stage?
So I first started training December of 2020, and I stepped on stage for the first time September of 21.
Okay, yeah.
So not a lot of training. Yeah. 9 months basically, 8 months.
Which I think a lot of people probably aren't going to realize, but that's a pretty quick turnaround.
Yeah.
A lot of people hear 9 months and they think, oh gosh, that's almost a full year. That takes to go from like you were already athletic. I'm sure you had a good foundational base, but to just start the sport of bodybuilding,
Yeah.
like very intentionally, and then to step on stage 9 months later is no joke. Like, walk people through a little bit of what that process looked like. Like, what does average day, month, season in a bodybuilder's life look like?
Yeah, so strength training every day, you know, hitting one muscle group every day. And initially is what I started, because I had to build from the foundation. I didn't really have, you know, I was just kind of the basics of it. I didn't, for bikini, you know, glutes and shoulders are what the judges are looking for, and the symmetry of those. And so, but I had to start from basically the beginning. So I started with strength training every day. I'd spend about an hour and a half in the gym, strength training, and then a little bit of cardio. And then I didn't realize how important the nutrition side was until my coach is, you know, he's like, well, what have you been eating? And he's like, so I ended up, I was very fortunate because this coach also, you know, he did the strength training side of it. He also did the nutrition side of it. So he was able to quickly get me onto a nutrition plan and a regimen. And it was crazy the amount of food that I had to eat every single day.
Yeah.
That took a lot to get used to. And the water consumption, drinking like 2 gallons a day was...
Oh, you had your 2 gallons?
2 gallons of water a day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was a lot.
What was his thought process on that? Because, I mean, you hear the gallon a day is pretty common for a lot of bodybuilders.
Yeah.
2 gallons a day.
2 gallons a day.
Is pretty intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just the side of it, you know, 75% of your body, your organs is made up of the water, and to replenish them daily, especially when you're hardcore strength training.
Yeah.
You know, a gallon is kind of maintaining, and then to get that surplus of what you're losing through your strength training.
Yeah. Do you still do
primarily.
that today?
I try.
Yeah.
I'm like, gallon a day is a good day for me.
Yeah,
So,
for
but
sure.
during prep, it definitely is important to get it up.
And what's the nutrition plan? Because I imagine you were probably eating pretty healthy before.
Yeah.
But then bodybuilding health or bodybuilding specific focus, like for weight gain and weight losses, at least in what we've experienced, is a very different world.
It is.
So what did the early days of that nutrition program look like?
So much protein.
So much that's our favorite word right there.
Yes.
Actually, Lily just said the word protein for the first day.
Oh my gosh.
Or first time the other day.
Yes.
I've got it on video and it's perfect.
That's
And,
hilarious.
yeah. So now she'll ask we've got these like little kids protein bars, and she'll ask for protein bar.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's
Yeah.
good.
Which
That's
is cool. I love
it
it.
is. It's
Yeah.
important. It's important
Yeah.
that they learn this stuff early and how important it is for them. So yes, eating protein,
Yeah.
lots and lots of it every 2.5 to 3 hours, basically through the day. And then just learning, like, you know, why am I eating this, and making sure, you know, how many carbohydrates I need to be getting and the fats. And
Was he having you like track your calories, or did he basically tell you give you meals, like eat this, 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 and this?
yeah, so he just it was a meal plan.
Okay.
So just eat this, 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 and that's what I like. You know, I would prefer that. I kind of, in the early days, I tried the macros, and it was just a lot for me to keep track of.
Yeah, it's tough, and I'd be interested to hear your experience on it, Austin. But it's like there's one side of it where if you track, then you get a little more flexibility as long as you definitely hit those macros. But at the same time, it's a lot more to keep track of, a lot more time investment, a lot more to focus on, to pay attention to. If you just know you're eating 6 meals of chicken and rice, and you don't really have to think about it too much, you know.
Yep, exactly.
Was it a lot of like chicken and rice, or is it like
It was, yeah. Chicken, rice, chicken, sweet potatoes. Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, we eat a lot of sweet potato. It's a good
Love.
one. Yeah.
That's probably my favorite.
Yeah. What's been your experience with that also, as far as like tracking versus, because I know you've done both phases throughout your time period.
Well, it's obviously very subjective in terms of what the client would want. In terms of, okay, just give me the meals, tell me what I'm eating, tell me how much, and then I'm good from there, because I don't want to put that much thought into it.
Yeah.
For myself personally, I find myself I really enjoy cooking, and so having that opportunity to cook what I want to eat, I kind of have an idea as to what, like, is ground bison and sweet potato going to be the hit thing this year or this week or not, and I know that going into when I do my meal prep on Sundays. And so for me, I enjoy cooking, and that's kind of that's sort of, I suppose, the cheat code for me, at least, is that I know that I'm going to enjoy what I'm going to eat, because I'm willing to go and say, oh, you know, I need to hit this macro.
Yeah.
I'm willing to put a little bit of thought of going, okay, bison and sweet potato, or chicken and sweet potato, or bison and regular potato, or bison and rice, and just so on and so forth. I'm willing to go through and just cook those, kind of feeling how I'm going to feel that week, because I can do bison and sweet potato probably every single week.
Seriously.
Yeah.
That would be totally fine. But
Yeah.
having that, for me, I enjoy utilizing that time a bit more wisely, and having it like I make the choice and then it's determined throughout the week, so then I don't have to think about it. So it's one day of thinking for me, which I don't mind doing, and I hope that into the future when I start coaching is that, you know, I want to try to feel that out, because I understand how much that could impact someone, especially someone who doesn't want to meal prep a whole lot. Like take that out of the equation. I don't want to think about that, and I personally would love to make sure that, you know, I give them that opportunity to say, okay, do you want me to tell you what to eat, or do you want macros? Yeah. And it's just, again, very subjective, but it's been a lot of fun on my end. Not only like help, because I've helped a couple of people, but helping versus doing has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Learned a lot. So
Yeah,
Awesome.
and for the people like with families too, one thing that's really worked well for Lauren and I, we've got a young daughter, we've got another one on the way, and so you don't necessarily just have a 4-hour time block to just cook everything for the entire week, but we'll just guys, this can be really easy. We make dinner at night, and this morning I made it was 4 whole egg, 18 ounces chicken breast, 3.5 cups egg whites and spinach, and then some feta cheese. So we cook all that in a big pot, and it's enough to feed me plus Lauren plus Lily, plus I'll get 2 or 3 meals out of it. So we just always cook in abundance every meal. You know, we'll cook 4 pounds of chicken or 3 pounds of beef, and then just box it up, and it's good to go for meals for the week.
Yeah.
But did you have to do, so he gave you that program of eat this, were you prepping a lot of stuff ahead of time, or did you just kind of cook it each day as you go? What routine really locked for you there?
Yeah, with my schedule, I was able to fortunately do it daily. I tried the Sundays, and by Thursday I was like, this isn't tasting, the chicken's getting dry. So with my schedule, I was able to do daily, and it just worked for me. And shout out to my husband. He's my cooker, and
nice.
oh my gosh, he's really helped me. I don't love to cook, so he's taken that on, and
That's awesome.
he cooks my meals every day. I'm so fortunate for that. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever tried the chicken tenderloins versus the chicken breast?
I have.
I found that out. This is a little hack for you guys. For some reason, they cook up. They're a little more pricey. I think the chicken breast is $16 for a big package, and the chicken tenderloins are $19. But it's worth that extra $3 because they come out so tender, so juicy. I don't feel like they ever get dry, and they're come in these little individual strips too. So I can just throw a whole package in there, marinate them up, and grill them when we're ready. Yeah, it's good stuff. So going back to that very first prep, I assume you probably had to do a bulking phase and then a cutting phase, probably more traditional bodybuilding style. What was it finally going through that prep, learning all the ins and outs of it, dedicating yourself to that program, and then being able to actually step on stage? What was that full experience of the first weekend of competition for you?
It was a roller coaster of all the things. Learning the posing was a big part of it, and getting used to that. And I wasn't feeling confident in the posing part. And, a couple weeks out, I was second guessing myself a lot, with the posing and even my physique. I was like, I'm not ready to get on the stage yet. I'm not there. And my coach, he's just like, you're there. Stop second guessing yourself. You're there. You'll be fine. So he was there to keep me on track and not get too off track there, because it is so hard to get in your head and have those what they call prep goggles on, where you never feel ready. But yeah, we got there, and my first show, so it was called the Ohio State Championships through the NPC, and I didn't feel nervous that day at all. I woke up feeling good, and I was like, because I think I went into it with zero expectations. It's my first show. I'm just here to feel just the experience of it. So I went in zero expectations and had a blast. I got a lot of friends through the process and the training, and they're competing with me, and it was a fun day. It was a fun day of getting hair done, makeup done, all the glitz and glam, and I didn't feel nervous, which I thought was crazy because I was expecting to be. Yeah.
Do you think that's because you'd like done so much as far as the preparation side goes? Were you able to just sit confidently with that knowledge of like, I did everything I could?
I think so.
At least you knew that if things didn't turn out great, you at least knew you did everything you could.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's absolutely a huge part of it is I did everything. I checked all the boxes every day, and that's all I could do. I did everything I possibly could to get there. And yeah, I think
what helped you in building that kind of discipline? Because I think that's something a lot of people struggle with. Is it's one thing to know exactly what to do. It's another thing entirely to be able to check those boxes every single day. What drove you in that regard?
My goal, my why. You know, I always had to kind of revert back to, okay, why am I doing this? And I guess I never didn't not feel motivated just because my why was doing this, and I set this goal for myself, and I didn't want to let myself down. So these are the things I have to do to get there, and I just stuck with it, and just knowing that these are the things that I had to do to get there.
And what was that why for you? Was that stepping on stage?
Yeah, the why, just I wanted to do something for myself, and I was finally at a place in my life where I could do that, and I was taking this time to do it and to prove to myself that I can do anything I set my mind to.
Yeah.
And
that's
so
cool.
Yeah.
And I think that's powerful, particularly in the world of bodybuilding, because, and I make this comparison sometimes between bodybuilding and powerlifting. Like in powerlifting, pretty much anybody can sign up for a meet and step on the platform and do whatever, even if they didn't train at all for it, you know. They're not going to lift a lot of weight, but anybody can step on that platform. But I feel like the bodybuilding stage is a little bit different in the sense that, like, you can't just step onto that stage and like literally whatever physique you want. Like everybody there has had to really work toward it. Really, like it's a spot that it feels like you've really got to earn within that culture. And is that kind of what it felt like to you? Did you feel some of that like responsibility to the sport itself to show up at that highest caliber?
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you can see it, you know, the girls there, that you can tell they've put in the work. You know, they're ready to showcase their hard-earned work to the judges and get on that stage. And if you don't know, and if you haven't been practicing the posing, that's another thing. That's a big part of it. And you know, you can't really get on a stage without having that.
I've heard a lot of bodybuilders talking about that posing piece recently. Is like that's kind of the training piece that people miss out on or skip out on or forget. You know, it's one thing to do bicep curls till they're twitching, but it's an entirely different thing to be able to do that. I think a lot of people call it even an art form in the posing. So what does that process look like? Because that's something I'm pretty unfamiliar with myself. Obviously, it's one thing to know the poses. It's another thing to be able to transition between them and all the movements that go into them. What's really the general overview of what does like a posing training regimen really look like?
So training regimen, it's a lot of putting your body into positions that it's not naturally used to. Okay. So, because the goal of the posing is to be able to showcase the muscle that you have in the best angles possible to the judges. So, and if you don't have it's a good idea to have a coach so that they can see you and be able to place you where you need to be in their eyes as the judges on where you need to be. Because if you don't have that, your angles are going to be off. But just learning how to hold your body in certain positions to showcase the specific muscles they're looking for, and just getting fluid with it is key. Really moving your body so that it doesn't look unnatural.
You don't look like you're flexing as hard as you possibly can. It looks very natural.
You have to make it look natural and flow natural, and it honestly is the hardest part.
Really?
For me, it's the hardest part of bodybuilding. For sure.
Because I feel like you can do all the nutrition exactly right. You can do all of the training exactly right. but there's so much nuance it seems goes into that final weekend. Even like I've heard people talk about like if their tan wasn't good, that they feel like that throws them off, you know. There's so much little nuance that goes into that to ultimately present that final polished like package on the stage.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's so many little micro details to manage, like right at the end, right when you're probably not feeling that great, you know, you're calorie depleted, maybe a little dehydrated. So on the day of that like show, what's the biggest help in being able to manage all those little details, just make sure everything comes together perfectly?
And as they say, you know, on show day, the hay is in the barn. You know, the work has been done. There's nothing you can really change on show day for your physique. You just have to go in confidently, know that you've done everything that you possibly could to look your best that day. Just stay in a good space, you know, listen to music, keeping yourself good cortisol levels as low as you can keep them. Just staying calm.
Does cortisol drive fluid retention?
It
Is that the reason?
Absolutely. Yep. You're exactly right. So you want to keep that down as low as you can. But yeah, and going back to the posing, you know, you can show up to show day with the best physique out, you know, in your group. But if you don't have your posing down and you're not showcasing it properly, confidently, that does dictate your placing, and you may not place as well as you really should have.
Yeah. I imagine that's why it's got to be so important to really focus on that regular practice of the posing throughout the prep.
Yes.
Because I imagine you want it to be like subconsciously implanted, where you're on stage and you're basically not even thinking about what you're doing. Your body just automatically knows the motions.
Yep. That muscle memory, and just, be able to do it with your eyes closed.
Yeah. That is kind of comparable to powerlifting, I suppose, is when you step on the platform, you don't want to be thinking about your form at that point. Like you want to have that so locked in that it's just entirely subconscious to who you are. So
check the cues and you're done.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
And those are powerful. Do you have to find like is there like a cueing practice to posing where like your coach has to tell you like think about things certain ways? So for me, one big cue I needed on the day of the meet when we were doing the 500-pound squat was drive out, meaning like drive out with your knees, which helps me lock my hips in tighter, helps me engage my abductors. And just got me in a better position. I knew that was like a cue I needed to hear. Do you have little things like that for posing?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, there are quite a few. Keeping that core tight, sucked in, you know, keeping those glutes out, popped the whole time. You know, keeping your shoulders up, chest up the whole time. Smiling the whole time.
Smiling while you're focusing and in pain.
Pretty much.
I want food so bad.
Yeah, one tear dripping down.
Right? Yep.
So did you just immediately fall in love with it from that moment?
I really did. Yeah. Show day was amazing. I, you know, stepped on stage for the first time, and I left with a first place win, and it just felt really good.
Your first show ever?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's incredible.
Yeah, I felt great that day, and I just left like, okay, maybe this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So, and then a couple of days later, I got my stage photos back, and I just was in awe. I was like, I really did that. Like, that is amazing. Like, I didn't realize how good my body did look until I saw those stage photos, and it just like was mind blowing. Like, that's so cool that you can see just the transformation. Yeah, is so cool.
That is cool, and I'm glad that you can take pride in that too, because I feel like there's a bit of a narrative in today's society where people say like, oh, you just shouldn't care about, you know, how you look. Like, it's not about how you look, it's about how you feel, you know. And I definitely get where they're coming from there, because you can't tie your self-worth to necessarily like how you look, you know? But I do think there's also like, I think it's okay to be proud of the body you've built from the work you've done. Is that something that you think is kind of lost in today's society?
A little bit, yeah. I definitely agree with that. And it is. It's hard because it's hard to not feel good about yourself when you look in the mirror and you look good. You're happy with how you look, and you know. And going back to, you know, with the women in my gym, just seeing their confidence build just because they can see that they look better than they did 3 months ago, and it just exuberates so much. Their whole demeanor changes, and they're just happy and they're confident. Like, those are the kind of things that just show that when you really do look better, you do feel better.
Yeah. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. You know, it's cool to be. We're very visual creatures as humans. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with, taking that reward moment and allowing it to continue to fuel the work you're doing. Because ultimately, like, that work is going to get us healthier as well.
Absolutely.
Get us stronger, get us more functional. So many aspects of life it carries over to.
Yes.
And it's cool when you can get to a spot of, like, you see those little, like, cuts pop through, you see those veins pop through, and you're like, that's, like, really motivating. It's like, Diamond talked about that a lot. She's like, that's a win,
It is.
Yeah, even though I feel like garbage right now, that's a win, I'll take that. Yes. And she got so amped up about that, which was cool to see, because I think sometimes it's easy to also get in the other side of it, like you talked about the prep goggles, I think you called it, where it's like you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm doing all this work and I'm not there, it's not working, and it's easy to slip down that process as well. So what was the plan then? I assume you went back to the drawing boards with your coach. What was the plan for next steps, next phases after that initial show?
Growing, just building more muscle, because I had very minimal muscle, because I went straight into a prep basically. I know I strength trained for a little bit, but just growing, lots of growing to do, and that takes time. So that was the main thing, is getting my meal plan back to surplus and calories, and just working on building everywhere basically. Yeah.
And how long did that building phase last roughly?
So the next one was about 9 months.
Okay.
So
9 months of just building. Yeah. And again, that's something I think a lot of times whether it's weight loss, weight gain, strength gain, whatever it is, I think we operate on the wrong timeline sometimes. A lot of people are thinking like 2-3 months.
Yeah.
When really you need to be thinking like even 9 months, is like 9 months of just a building phase, I guess seems like a pretty good phase. But like Jaden, I'm sure you know Jaden Lacaria. Yeah, so I think he's going on like a 2-year growth phase right now.
Oh my gosh. That's going to be, that's amazing. The longer the better. It really is. I mean,
Because I feel like if you're just constantly like bulking, cutting, your body has to get so confused. It's like, what are we doing here?
Yes.
But I know some people struggle with the bulking phase even more than the cutting phase, because they see those cuts go away, they see those veins go away, they feel that extra body weight, just like when we saw Jaden at the Arnold this year. He was like, I think he was like 235 at that point, and he walked up to us and he was like sweating like out of breath. Even though he's like incredibly lean still at that weight, like it's just a lot of mass to carry around, and it's hard to feel like I'm this high-level professional athlete, and yet I'm struggling to like walk around, which is how I felt at the time of the 500-pound squat. Like that day, I tell people, I was like, I was either going to squat that weight or I was like 2 seconds from a heart attack, basically. So it can be tough to battle that a little bit, but I think just expanding the timeline and recognizing that we will get more out of this if we put more of that consistent time and dedication into it. And really what I think that teaches is just to fall in love with the process of it. Don't just love that moment on stage. Like, yes, enjoy that beautiful reward and that opportunity and everything that comes with that. But if you don't find a love for the process of it, you're just never going to succeed at the highest level.
You're exactly right.
Did you have that naturally, or is that something you kind of build up over time throughout this process?
From the get-go, I loved it. I loved getting in the gym and lifting heavy. It just, I absolutely love the process, and I couldn't imagine going through all of this and not enjoying the process just to get on stage. Like, to me, I probably would have been a one and done. And
it doesn't necessarily mean either that we're going to wake up every day feeling just completely filled with purpose and motivation and love for what we do. So there's going to be hard days, there's going to be good days, but it's really that passion piece we talked about, and driving that to purpose. We talked recently on an episode about ultimately building culture, which we'll get to with the gym. But we talked about like passion has to be the starting point, something that really like sets you on fire, but it's kind of like untamed, unfocused, and from there you dial it in, focus it in to get to where you've got like a purpose, something like a little deeper that carries you through the hard days and the tough times. And ultimately you can use that to expand and grow into a culture that impacts those around you even. So did you start to build up like a community in Columbus around the bodybuilding side, or did you kind of stay on your own just working with your coach?
Yeah, up there, I kind of just stayed on my own with the coach. I had a couple of close friends. We would, if our coach was out for the day, we would work together. And that was very, very few and far between. So yeah, on my own prep for the most part.
Yeah. And when was that? So you did a 9-month growth phase, and then did you jump right back into prep after that for another show?
I did.
And what was that show?
So there were two. They're through NPC, the Julie Palmer Showdown in Dayton. And then I did a back-to-back. The next weekend was the Mike Francois in Columbus. The Francois really kind of swayed things as far as my federation. So I was doing the NPC, and then I did the Francois. And for prejudging, I thought, when we left that day, after prejudging, I thought I had 5th place. Came back to finals, didn't get 5th place, and I was just really, it just kind of caught me. It put me in a place where I wasn't happy with my placing, and I guess where I stood as an athlete, being a natural athlete and getting on stage with most of the athletes that were, on performance enhancements and that kind of thing. It just kind of steered me into a new direction after that. And I switched gears and went into Natural Federation, OCB.
Okay.
So,
which I think that's what Diamond said she competed in.
Yeah.
OCB.
Yeah. She's
so
OCB.
I guess for people, including myself, who aren't fully aware of all the terms,
Yeah.
what is like the difference? Because I've heard NCP thrown around before. I've heard OCB thrown around before. Just high level, what's kind of the difference between those worlds?
Yeah. So if you think of the Olympia, is the Super Bowl of bodybuilding.
This is where people see like C-Bum and
Exactly.
Derek Lunsford and those kind of guys.
So to start out, you go through the NPC, National Physique Committee, and then you get nationally qualified. Once you go to nationals, you basically have the chance of earning your pro card there. Once you get your pro card, you are then an IFBB pro, which then you can potentially earn your way to the Olympia. And the NPC side, there's no regulations on the drugs, the performance enhancement drugs or anything like that. So these athletes can kind of, do their own thing, take what they want to help them get to where they want to be with their goals. And then there's a natural federation, which they are mandated.
Okay.
So OCB is Organization of Competition Bodies. They do very extensive. So before you even step on stage, you do a polygraph.
Really?
They give you a
polygraph? Not just like a urine drug test, like polygraph
it's an actual polygraph. They hook you up to the machines. It's intense.
Like FBI style and everything. Oh my
Interrogation. Okay,
the first one was very intimidating. But yeah, I mean,
were you like nervous that you like gonna set it off because you were nervous about it?
Yeah. So, and they go through the questions. You get to see the questions beforehand, but regardless, you still have to be hooked up to everything and answer the questions honestly. So you have to pass that before you can even get on stage. Wow. And then if you and a little different scenario with OCB is, so you can go to an amateur show. You can also win your pro card that same day.
Oh, okay.
Instead of being nationally qualified. So it's a little different. If you do win your pro card, you then have to do your analysis, and you don't get your actual pro card until
that comes back.
Yeah.
Okay. That's actually a pretty smart setup on their part, because the urinalysis is obviously very expensive, and you can't necessarily do that on every single athlete that steps on stage, or you're going to be in the red very heavily, financially speaking. And so the polygraph is probably something that is a big upfront investment, but it's something they can do on all the athletes. And then for the people who do accelerate to that next level, then they do that focus testing for them. Yeah.
And we do have to pay for the polygraph ourselves.
Oh, really?
We do.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
So they take care of the urinalysis side of it, but we do have to pay for that.
Yeah. Wow. It's cool though to see that sort of like rigorous dedication, because there's some, and I'm not going to call out any names or anything, but like in the powerlifting world, it's like there are natural federations and then there's non-tested federations, but even with some of the natural federations, it's like, well, people find ways to slip around it and get around it and cut corners and whatnot. So it's hard to even like fully trust, if you're stepping in on the stage as a natural athlete, it's even fully hard to trust that that the people around you, aren't using some form of enhancement.
Yes.
And so to have that kind of like really rigorous, dedicated approach to it, that has to be incredible.
Prejudging to prejudging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That has to be incredibly promising as an athlete stepping into that federation.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was, I from the get-go when I first did my OCB show, it was a fit for me. And I will say, the NPC, they do have some natural shows. They just work a little differently, but they do have some options out there for it.
Okay. Yeah. So theoretically, somebody could be a natural athlete and still get their pro card with NPC. They're just competing against potentially enhanced athletes.
Exactly.
So there's a theoretical path where somebody could go to the Olympia stage without using performance enhancements.
Yes.
It's probably not super realistic.
It's very super genetic, super rare. Yeah.
Those Mike O'Hearn genetics. Yeah.
Oh yeah. But it's done. It's been done. There are very few out there that have done it, which is amazing.
Yeah. And that'd be a huge, just like thing to know that you achieved to do it. But it's nice that there was an avenue for that. You're not necessarily siloed into one direction you may not want to go into.
Yeah.
But so were you able to get your pro card at that first OCB meet or competition then?
No, OCB. So it was my third one.
Okay.
My third OCB show in Dayton. Actually, it was last year. July of 25.
Yeah.
I got my pro card through.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What was that feeling like?
Oh my gosh, I was not expecting it at all, honestly. It was one of those kind of shows where, I went into it with zero expectations. I was using it as kind of a warm-up show for another show, just to kind of get back on stage, because I hadn't been on stage for 2 years.
Okay.
So kind of just get warmed up and get my heels back on stage. And so didn't expect it that day at all. So
that had to make it even better, though.
It really, truly did. It was awesome.
Yeah. So as far as bodybuilding goes, then, have you competed since that show where you got your pro card?
I did a show right after that.
Okay.
A month later. And I did it so with my pro card, mine's in masters. So, which means I is in the category of 35 or older. So I can still technically compete as an amateur in the open division. So against all females in my division.
Okay.
So so I did that show as an open, got third place, which I was happy with, and then took my off season. Okay. So yeah.
And you told us just before we got on that you kind of just jumped back into prep. So you got a show coming up here in a few months, then, I assume. Yeah.
So I am 13 weeks out from my next show, August 22nd in Cleveland.
Oh wow,
wonderful!
Another OCB show, I assume.
It is, yes.
Now, will you be competing against like other pro athletes in OCB now? Like, is this like a pro meet or competition?
So this one in August is actually an amateur one. I'm going in this. I'm kind of using this one as my warm up show.
I see. Okay.
To go in as open competitor, and then I plan on doing my first pro show in October in Maryland. So nice. Stepping on the pro stage for the first time.
Yeah. That's exciting.
That's
exciting. Now, where does this? So if through NPC it leads to like the Olympias, like the coup de grace, where would this trajectory look like through OCB?
So they have what's called the Yorton Cup.
Okay.
It's their Super Bowl. It's held in Charleston, South Carolina, and at the end of September.
Okay. Is the goal to get on that stage eventually?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Yep, that's a big goal.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask, I'm curious, so when it comes to getting your pro card, what does that, like, what are some of the larger and more obvious benefits that comes with that sort of next step into bodybuilding in general? Like, I've always just been curious, like, okay, I'm an IFBB pro. So you have access to better and more competitive, like, competitions, but like what else comes along with that sort of precipice, I suppose?
Yeah. So top 3 winners do get money, cash rewards.
Okay.
So that's a good side of it, and potentially sponsorships are companies are more apt to giving the pro athletes sponsorships through that kind of thing. So that's a good one. I guess just the prestige of being, that a pro athlete, I guess.
Being able to put that like online or on your website or whatever it is, just to be able to say that, like, just like anytime somebody wins World's Strongest Man, their Instagram handle immediately adds WSM.
Yes. Yep.
And anybody who follows Strongman knows exactly what that means.
But I was just curious because I figured sponsorships and stuff, but prestige can certainly carry a lot of weight with that. And, like I'm going for my NASM certification right now. Awesome. And so I want to put those 4 letters beyond my name. But like I was curious because I've never really thought about that. Like, okay, I might have to be pro. You get access to the other, to the competitions, but I was like, wait, what else comes with that necessarily? So, but the sponsorships definitely, and have you had any big sponsorships come in?
Not yet. I mean, not quite yet. So we're working. We're working.
Yeah, it's just all part of the process. Mm-hmm. Well, and I feel like too, it's especially in today's landscape. We had a mentor of ours. Actually, he's like a podcasting mentor. Yeah. He ran Mark Bell's show for the longest time, and he always said that he kind of shifted our trajectory in that he said really like sponsorships aren't really the way to go these days. Unless you get like, you can sign on to like the really high level ones, like what some of the Olympia athletes are getting and stuff like that, and they can be really meaningful. Yeah. But so much of it these days is like really affiliate based, and then you've got to do a lot of marketing and sales for a company that's not really yours, and you've got to bring your audience to another brand. And he said it gets really tricky these days. He said the best thing to do, create your own product, create your own services, create your own brand, and then use the kind of like the prestige that you get from your achievements along the way to help boost your own side of what you're doing to help people. And it seems like you've been able to really effectively use that strategy.
Yeah. And I absolutely agree with that.
So what, I assume it was around this time that you came back here local. You'd gone up to Columbus, you came back here local. What drove you to want to move back to Belpre, and then furthermore to be able to open your own gym in this area?
Yeah, I mean, just there's no place like home, and it was nice to get away and change of scenery, change of pace of life, and all of that. But at the end of the day, we did keep our house here. We didn't sell or anything, and my mother-in-law her health was kind of diminishing. She kind of needed us back there to for some caretaking, that kind of thing, and it was just kind of just a time, I guess, where God was saying, okay, it's time to come back and get things in order back home. Yeah. So, and that's kind of just where it led to. And I had a big goal eventually to open, I always wanted to open my own gym, and it was just like a big long-term goal that's been there for a long time. And it kind of just happened, it was like, it was one of those things by God's grace. It just happened. And I prayed for the longest time, asking God, please help me find my purpose here on earth. If I were to, leave this earth tomorrow, what would people remember me by? And I didn't know the answer. I didn't have an answer. I couldn't think of anything. And it really, it brought me to a place. I'm like, why am I here? Yes, I'm a mother and I'm a wife and all of that, but there's more. And I found myself praying a lot and asking God, please help me find my purpose here. And things kind of just started happening. Just started kind of aligning. And by then we moved back here. My husband found a building that he was going to do some work on. And he's like, this would be a perfect place for a gym for you. And I wasn't ready at all, but he was, and he helped make that dream come true. And he spent all of like a fall, part of a winter, just redoing this building and making it my perfect gym.
That's awesome. I remember seeing the signs go, because it's kind of in the perfect spot, that the big highway that goes through town, like you just get this perfect view. Yeah. And you guys did the best thing. You put this giant banner up that is easily read from the highway, stands out perfectly amongst everything else. Yeah. So from like a branding marketing perspective, I was like, that's brilliant, you know?
A literal billboard size sign.
Yeah. So talk to us about the Strength Warehouse, like what it is, what it offers people, who you're looking to serve, everything that goes into it.
Yeah. So Strength Warehouse, we're a 24/7 access gym. Members get access. They get their own 4-digit door code, come in and out whenever they want, whatever works for them. And that was an important part for me initially opening the gym. Was like, it just makes sense. Like everyone's on such a different schedule. limiting the hours of when they can work out is not ideal at all. And that's not what I wanted. But we are a full fitness studio. We have all the equipment, you know, free weights, cardio equipment, weighted machines, you know, racks. We have everything to get a good full workout in. So it is a co-ed gym. We just have a lot of pink. There's a lot of pink happening in Strength Warehouse. Yeah. We love pink.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So, but we have a great group and we offer tons of classes. Strength training is the main focus. Learning how to properly strength train is what our focus is on. The classes are focused on. We have personal training options as well. And it's just, we're here to help you basically get to where you want to be physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And once you start working on yourself physically, they all just kind of align, and helping people get to the starting point and just carrying it out and making it a lifestyle change is what we want to do.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And Austin and I can both speak to this. When we were in some of our darkest times in life, when I was going through alcoholism, like the first thing that got me moving in a better direction was actually running cardio, because that was just all I had access to. But then I got into the gym, don't worry guys, quickly after I got into the gym. And I think you're absolutely right. We used to say that, you know, not everybody has to fall in love with training or get in the gym. We've since changed that line of messaging from our platform, and saying that I don't think everybody has to make their life purpose being in the gym.
Yeah.
But I think everybody should have some sort of physical training aspect, because like you said, it's probably the lowest hanging fruit as far as like actionable items that you can take in that process toward building out all 4 domains of performance. And really starting to turn your life around, because it's really hard to be in like a crappy mental state and think like, oh, well, I'm just going to start being in a better mental state today. Like that's a little more ethereal, a little more abstract. You can certainly build practices around it, but it's a little bit harder to do versus like just go to the gym, lift some weights. Like it doesn't, you don't have to be like crazy science driven about it right off the bat. Just like go in and move and do something and get out of your head and get into your body. And it's amazing, because then there's a whole physiologic downflow that happens from that affects the mental, emotional, spiritual as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So and that's a really great piece to talk about. And just real quick, it references that Chris Williamson was on Piers Morgan Uncensored, and they were talking about, like, Piers Morgan came to him with a question of saying, you know, for people that have like these, you know, mental health issues and are trying to like help themselves to get better, you know, outside of the whole medication world, like what can they do to sort of help kind of get out of that tar pit? And he asked Chris, and Chris is like, well, get into the gym, clean up the body, and then clean up the mind. And Pierce is like, no, I really think that you should be able to think your way out of it. And Chris Williams' response was, to me, that is like telling a cocaine addict to snort their way out of it. Like that, like you need to get into the gym, like train, get the body clean, and then you'll get the mind clean. So that always, every time that pops up, anytime we talk about that little snippet from their conversation pops into my head. Like telling a cocaine addict to snort his way out of the addiction. Like that's just it. Yeah.
No,
it's
not gonna work.
Agree with that. Yeah.
No.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I remember you sending that conversation, that interview to me. Yeah. I'm like, wow, that makes a lot of sense.
Of course, it would be fantastic for you to have this ultra complex and profound, powerful mind to be able to think your way out of some deep problems. But like that's just. Not everybody is Piers Morgan. So like, you know, let's just, you know, get into the gym, and that's just going to help, because that's been our experience.
So for somebody that's like kind of in this spot in life where they feel like, man, I'm not physically where I want to be. I'm not really feeling great mentally. I feel like I kind of just come home and I'm going through the motions every single day. And I come home and I sit on the couch and I eat whatever, you know, I just don't feel incredibly fulfilled with my life. I know we talked about like start with some kind of training, but what are step by step, like what are some of the first steps they can take to really start turning that around?
Just moving more. Just even if it's going outside and taking a walk down the road and back, just moving your body a little more than you did yesterday
Okay.
is key, and just building from there.
Yeah.
It's all about slow, steady progress.
Yeah.
Progression is key, and just you got to start slow and easy and light and slowly work your way up, and creating that stimulus every day. What can I do today that was a little bit harder than yesterday, and just keeping that going.
Yeah.
So
yeah, if somebody like came to you and were like basically in that position, you as a trainer at your gym, what would the program look like that you might start them on?
Yeah, just slow, steady, easy, light. Finding out where their base is.
Okay.
Finding out where they can start, what they can handle weight wise, and just slowly working up from there. You know, it's all about finding that starting point and just slowly increasing and progressing.
Yeah. And I think that's what we talked about, that timeline piece, and how sometimes we operate on the wrong timeline. Like, you don't have to get this turned around in 2 months. No. Like, this is going to be done properly. This is going to be a practice that you kind of pursue for life, you know? And so we've got time to figure things out. Yeah. I think the other big thing that holds people back is they feel like, oh, I can't go to the gym because I don't know what to do. And I can't just, I need to like have this whole program put together. I need to have this whole like nutrition regimen. I need to have all of these things. And to what you speak to perfectly there is, you don't have to have it figured out. Like, you don't even have to know at all what you're doing.
No.
Like, anybody can go in and everybody knows what a bicep curl is. Walk into the gym, do some bicep curls.
Yep.
Look around, see who's doing stuff, and maybe go up and talk to somebody.
Ask for help. And
absolutely.
I think that's another thing about gym culture that we really need to take advantage of in this moment.
Yes.
Is that with this sort of renaissance of like the antithesis of AI, of like reconnecting kind of, you know, humanistically wise, something like that, whatever.
Yeah,
connecting with each other again in the gym, like having creating that positive environment. Because for me in traveling, I've been to many different gyms, both ones that have lots of locations. I don't want to say names, but two different ones, honestly, that offer quite a few different locations, to then having like local gyms to the different cities. And it's wild to see the environment and how it feels when you go to some of those more local gyms that are just like, you walk in and somebody's there and just says, hey, what's up? You know, how are you? You know, good to see you. And it's just like, already fantastic, you know, or like trying to help somebody out, or just saying hello, smiling to people. Like, it's for me and my experiences, because for me, I always try to stay aware as much as possible for everybody, as to everybody's position in the gym. And it's just like, for me, I love like just walking by somebody, just smiling and say hello, you know, just like make it a positive environment.
Absolutely.
Like, it's so profound, the impact that can make on somebody, especially just in my limited experience of running into a few different people that like you say, you know, hey, you know, are you about done with the machine? How many more sets do you have? And you could tell that they just like, they want to talk to somebody. Like they really want to, like, it's more than just a hello to them. And seeing that has made me realize and pushed me forward in this sense of my sort of soapbox moment here, of like getting people just to be more friendly, more positive within the gym space.
Yes.
And I think that would just be such a helpful point that a lot of those mini location gyms could really kind of like, they need to embrace. They really do, because that's where a lot of your sort of, because for the local gyms, you have a lot more of, you know, long timers in there that may look intimidating or may seem intimidating to those who are first starting out. And so what do they do? They pick the whatever. They're going to pick the low-hanging fruit of going to those multi-locational gyms because it's cheaper. It's a lot less commitment. It's cheaper, and generally they're also 24/7 most of the time.
Yes.
And so when they go into there, you immediately walk in, and it's just, listen, color is fantastic, great, but if nobody in there wants to even look at you, nobody wants to say hello. It's just dead. It is dead spirit, dead weight moving around in there. And it sucks. It sucks. I'm just going to say that now. I still won't say the name, but
we all know the name.
It dampens my spirit when I walk in there. And I'm somebody who I like, I'm in there to like, let's move some weight. Like let's get some movement going. And it's hard. It's just this wall that they're hitting. And that's the most accessible thing for them to sign up for and to be committed to. And you have to sign up with a bank account too, by the way. You can't just sign up with a card. Like, it's just wild stuff. Absolutely wild. So I'll step back down. But it's
right. You're
making a positive impact into that environment. I think is just so wildly necessary for those individuals. That's I think that's where, like, for us personally as coaches, needs to be something that is just drilled in immediately into that person, into that client. That could be, whether they've been training for a year or 2 or 3. Make sure that when you go in to train with them, like, keep them positive, keep them and just engaged and embracing what that commitment's going to feel like. And especially for those who are coming in first, it is just, for me, that is paramount. That is so much more important than making sure that their elbow is in the right position when they're doing the elbow, or when they're doing the bicep curl on the cable machine. Like, wildly more important is the fact that you're enjoying it and you're creating a positive and kind of aura or environment around you as you're doing it as well. Like, that is just first and foremost. We're gonna have fun with this, okay? We're developing the body, we're shaping the body. Phenomenal, but like, you really need to have a good time with this. Otherwise that would, in my opinion, that would be sort of one of the first things that would really not motivate them to continue training, the month or 2 to 3 in, is if they're not having fun.
Absolutely.
How are you going to keep them in there?
So important. So important. Well,
you brought up that piece of AI, and I think so many people are talking about, like, oh, AI is going to take our jobs, it's going to replace me. I'm just like, what if we just focus on the things AI is not going to replace? And I think that community, that culture, that human connection is the thing it's never going to be able to replace. And you've done such an amazing job with that at the Strength Warehouse. Anytime we go to an event and you guys are there, whether it was Belpre Homecoming last year or the Fitness Expo a couple weeks ago, like, I always know if somebody is tied to your brand. It is very abundantly apparent. And from a branding marketing standpoint, that's so powerful. But even beyond that, from a community and culture standpoint, it's even more powerful. And I think that's one thing you've done so well with your group. So how did do you have, like, training in that area, or is it something that you just felt like you really wanted to focus on? How did you really build this community culture branding aspect to what you do?
Man, I mean, it kind of just started, the personal training side of it, is kind of, I guess, what got it started, bringing clients in, working with them one-on-one, kind of showing them that we got to figure out, there's a way to do everything. We have to find a way that's going to work for you. There's tons of ways to train. We have to figure out the ways that you don't, what you like, what you don't like, weed out what you don't like. Obviously, we're going to do stuff sometimes that you're not going to like, but
let's embrace them.
Let's embrace, exactly.
Love that too.
So and that's nutrition. Find out what's going to work, what you like, what you don't like, what's going to work with. It's finding what works for that individual, those people, and then, I mean, it's just kind of by word of mouth. The classes started growing. I was just blessed to start getting a really great group of, with the classes, the women, everyone just kind of started coming together, and word of mouth. And everyone was like, come check this out. And everyone started bringing their friends, and we just, it was just so motivating. I have had so many females come in this gym that have tried so many gyms that's never worked for them. And females that have never stepped in a gym before and now come into the gym every single day. And that's amazing. It's just, we have a fantastic group, and we're all so welcoming. And I think that's what's helped tremendously, just growing this group and getting the right people in. And, luckily we really haven't had individuals walk in that we've had to be like, get out, it's just all worked by the grace of God. It truly, He just put these fantastic people in my life and in the gym, and it's just work.
And that's a great testament to kind of what we just said about culture, is that really when culture shines the brightest, like when it's in its best form, it is a space where every member is holding like themselves to a specific standard. And that doesn't necessarily mean a standard of like performance and like we lift this much weight. It's like a standard of who are you as a person. I'd imagine going into your space, a lot of your members are going to be very open, very warm, very inviting, very welcoming of new people who may be afraid to step through those doors. And that's a powerful piece. Like that's the most important piece of a gym culture, more so than like, it doesn't matter if they're doing 800-pound deadlifts if they're a crappy person, you know, because you want people. I didn't know a better way to say it than that. you as like somebody who's building a gym and a brand and a culture and a community, you want those people who are going to hold that standard of the community and the type of person you're putting forth, and is going to welcome in new members and take them under their wing just like they may have been taken in, you know, back when they first started. Is it cool to watch those transformations of somebody who maybe they were like stepping in for the first time, very nervous about it, and now they're one of the people who are the core drivers of culture?
It's so cool. It's amazing. It truly is, just to see their dynamics change in the gym and just their training. And I mean, this is why I do what I do, because seeing stuff like that is just so rewarding. And you know, and I think that's, you know, part of how the culture begins. A lot of these people begin being that new person, and now when a new person comes in the door, they know how they feel and they can relate to them, and it's easier for them to welcome them, you know. And so
well, that sort of blossoming is just another testament to what we discussed earlier about getting into the gym and what that sort of what that physical activity can provide for you, like what that can allow you to really grow into something that you never knew was possible before. And that's definitely the pursuit of the impossible, and not only because we really don't have an idea as to what our potential is until we actually start pursuing it. And then once you get into the gym, once you have those days in there, you're just like, okay, you're starting to blossom into this absolutely exuberant person that's creating that positive environment. It is beautiful to see that blossoming itself happen.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that provides that reinforcement for that timeline piece as well. As how long has the gym been open now?
2.5 years
2.5 years, which for a lot of people to look at like, oh, I'm going to start doing this thing, and 2.5 years later I'll have this thing. Like it sounds like a lot of time, but I'm sure looking back on it, it feels like it has just flown by.
Oh my gosh, yeah, feels like 2 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
And so retrospectively, time always seems faster than prospectively. So if you're somebody who's out there thinking like, man, I'd really love to make some change in my life, but I can't put that kind of time into it. I can't put that kind of money into it. Whatever story you might be telling yourself about the situation, let's just think about our timeline a little differently and understand that, it may take 2, 3, it may take 5 years to get where you want to be. But as that time, it's not like you're going to lose all that time and then eventually you'll have what you want. What we always talk about is build the individual who builds the outcome. During that time, you're building the individual. You're going to get those reward points along the way. Yeah, it's going to be full of challenge, and there's going to be hard days and days you have to fight through, but you'll learn so much about who you are, and like Austin said, that potential that lies before you, what you're capable of along that journey, that if you'll get to a spot where it becomes more and more motivating to push down that path. And then it becomes doesn't even become about what you're hoping to achieve in 5 years. It becomes what you're here to show up and achieve today. And when we get into a system like that, I think that's where we just inevitably set ourselves up for success that we truly want in life, and it becomes more gratifying from that mental, emotional, spiritual side as well. So I think that's, and it's what it looks like in its highest form, and you've done that so well with your community out at the Strength Warehouse.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And listen to your latest podcast on purpose and passion and culture. I mean, you talked about that, and it just hit so hard yesterday when I was listening to that. I was like, oh my gosh, I definitely, I mean, it all falls in the line so perfectly, and I'm blessed to be there and be able to live that.
Well, you're living a great example of it. So
thank you
what
so
is
much.
What's on the horizon for, well, first, what's on the horizon for Strength Warehouse, and then what's on the horizon for Liz Strong?
So on the horizon for Strength Warehouse, we are, my goodness, classes are growing tremendously, and we are running out of space for our classes. So my husband and I are in the works of kind of expanding our current building out into
Wonderful.
some outside space, outside open
Yes.
workout space. So
Yes, because you talk about the emotional side and the mental side. Just get outside.
being outside to do
man,
it. Yeah. So that's in the works. Stay tuned for that. It's in the very beginning
Are there gonna be
stages.
some tires that can be flipped involved?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely, for sure.
Yeah.
So, working on that. So that's exciting, and just building on our classes and all of that. Yeah, and on the horizon for Liz Strong, man.
I know you said you got a show you're coming.
I am. Yeah. So I'm working on my fun hobby of bodybuilding and prepping for a show for August 22nd. So we're 13 weeks out from that. Just really locked. I'm locked in. I was pretty locked in from the beginning. Sometimes it takes a minute to like get in there.
Yeah.
And this prep, I kind of it locked in a little differently, a little faster than it normally does. So that's exciting. I have some big goals, physique wise, that I really hope to accomplish this season. And I'm excited about getting on the pro stage in October, hopefully. So that's the goal there.
And then eventually at what was the cup? The name of the cup?
Yorton Cup.
The Yorton Cup. I love that name.
Yes.
Yorton
It's such a
Cup.
regal name.
Yes.
Yeah.
So maybe another year or so we'll hit that. And
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks for being here, Liz. We really appreciate having you. Anything else you wanted to add for everybody out there who might be listening?
Yeah. So I highly encourage, if you have an inkling of just wanting to feel better, you're working on your best self and you don't know how to get there, please reach out. Please reach out to me. Come in, we can do a free consultation, sit down, just discuss where you are, your goals, and how I can help you get there, how our community can help you get there. Even if it's not a gym membership, even if it's just stuff you can do at your house. I'm here my goal is to help you feel your healthiest, get you to the best version of yourself. And yeah, that's what I want. So please reach out, and I will be.
And we'll link all your socials, emails, any of your contact information will all be in the show notes of this episode. So you guys can just click on that little description tab, drop down there, and it'll all be available there. But if people want to follow you, is Instagram, Facebook, what's the best places for people to jump on now?
I'm on both. Liz Strong, on both of them. So
Okay.
yeah.
Perfect. That's a cool handle to be able to grab. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, brother, you got anything else today?
Fantastic conversation. Thank you so much for coming.
Yes. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Well, you know the drill. You know the routine. We don't run ads on this show. We're never going to run ads on this show because we don't want to interrupt these conversations and these powerful moments from the incredible, impossible people like Liz that we get to bring on the show. So the number one thing we ask from you is if you know one person, and the odds are you know more than one person, that this show could positively impact, just copy that link, paste it in a text message, a Facebook post, an Instagram story, whatever it is, and share it with as many people as you know whom you believe it would help, because at the end of the day, that is how we do everything we're striving to do with Impossible Performance. And as we talked about today, there's so many aspects of this journey that if you're somebody that feels like you're in a spot in life where you just feel like, man, there's more for me out there, but I don't know where to start. I don't know how to find it. Don't let that timepiece hold you up. Don't feel like you got to make it happen right now. Because at the end of the day, the biggest thing we're focused on is building that individual. And that starts with just taking those first steps, like reaching out to Liz, get a consultation. She'll show you what that path looks like. And she knows that path because she's lived it herself, and she's helped so many others do the same in their lives. And if you guys ever need anything from us at Impossible Performance, you can now just go to impossibleperformance.com. Everything we have, everything we are is fully live on there. We have a new meal prep mastery course where we design a fully comprehensive 3 different meal prep that you can achieve in less than 2 hours of time, tailored to your specific financial, your taste requirements, your performance requirements. We'll do it all for you. We give you a shopping list and everything you need. But we have all sorts of resources available on there just for that. You're always welcome to reach out to us. We're happy to help however we can. We love connecting with you guys. So we appreciate everything you do in helping us push forward everything we're doing with Impossible Performance, because at the end of the day, we are striving to build a global culture of strength, fostering a spirit of growth in constant pursuit of the impossible. Thank you guys for listening, and as always, be impossible.